Namo Phat, good morning. Thanks for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The first mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I vow to cultivate compassion and learn ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I'm determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to condone any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. Our Dharma reading this morning is on Confusion and Worry by Ajahn Thiradhammo from his book, Working with the Five Hindrances. Confusion is sometimes due to certain unskillful habits we have accumulated. For example, not being well organized externally can affect our internal state of mind. Not having our physical environment organized can cause mental disorganization. At other times, it may be due to different forms of being overwhelmed. 1. Not having a good sense of time and place, causing confusion of temporality. 2. Trying to do too many things at once, or multitasking, and thus not being clear about any of them. 3. Not being able to prioritize, so that everything calls for our limited attention. 4. Procrastination, continually putting things off, which then crowd the mind. 5. Accumulating too many things, possessions, views, ideas, plans, etc., which then compete for our attention. Confusion can also result from wanting to know completely or absolutely. I was taught that knowing all the answers was the key to success. It took me a while to realize that it is impossible to know all the answers all the time. Trying to always know just resulted in confusion. Worry. While remorse, as in the previous hindrance, can be a source of haunting worry, there are also many other causes of worry. Since life is very uncertain and always changing, we could worry about virtually anything. What if there's a bus strike tomorrow? What if there is an earthquake? Sometimes this is just a conditioned habit we have developed. Sometimes we are too perfectionist or over-responsible and must have everything planned ahead of time. Occasionally, there may also be some underlying fear of failure or making a mistake. Some years ago, I was invited by Ajahn Sumedho on a retreat high in the Sierra Nevada mountains in the south of Spain. At that time, I was a second monk at Chithurst Monastery in England. The second monk is the manager of the monastery in order to leave the senior monk free to do the teaching. When the retreat began, I observed what seemed like a big black cloud in my head. I thought it might be due to the high altitude or change in diet, but it persisted. Finally, on the afternoon of the third day, I was on the walking path and brought my attention to this cloud in my head. What was it? As I was investigating it, I suddenly realized it was actually worry. And as soon as I could recognize it as worry, the cloud in my head dispersed, and the sun immediately shone more brightly. What I saw was my worry about the monastery back in England. It was really quite absurd. Here I was in Spain, worrying about the monastery in England. And I was in a remote place in the mountains with no telephone or other communication. I couldn't even call and ask, is everything going well over there? My responsibility demon had followed me to Spain. It was ridiculous, like some perverse joke while I was having a meditative holiday in the sunshine. So I had a good laugh at it. However, it did give me a clearer understanding of how these responsibilities had become excessive and were now haunting me by creating a big black cloud in my head, even though I was far away. Just by being aware of that, the worry fell away. For the rest of the time in Spain, I never thought about the monastery again, which was maybe being irresponsible, and the big black cloud never returned. This experience also gave me some incentive to become more aware of my responsibility demon by initiating a friendly dialogue with it. How are you today? Do you have anything to tell me? May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thanks for joining me today.